Second best. One morning, the Fat Controller brought a photographer to the yards. This year, there is to be a holiday poster for the railway, and I need an engine to be on the poster. All the engines were very excited. James was sure his photograph would be taken. I will look wonderful on the poster. The engine on the Sodor Railway poster will be Edward, announced the Fat Controller. Edward was delighted, but James could not believe it. He was sure a red engine would be just the thing for the poster. The photographer tried to take a picture of Edward, but James got in the way. James, leave the shed now, ordered the Fat Controller. James popped sadly away. Soon the posters were seen all over the island, but James still wants to be the poster engine. I wonder why Edward was chosen instead of me, said James. Because he is very good at handling trucks, said Duck, and he does not mind doing the dirty jobs, Oliver said. And he is always on time, Thomas said. James was cross. I can do all those things too. I'll show you that I am good enough to be on the poster, pondered James. The next day, Edward and Boca were shunting trucks at the China clay pits, and they don't mind the dirty work at all. When James arrived, he shunted trucks softly and smoothly too. It wasn't long before James began to do the dirty work. It wasn't long before James's paintwork was completely dirty. See, I can be gentle and can get just as dirty as Edward. I am good enough to be on the poster. Boko rolled his eyes. He knew James was trying to do anything to be on the poster. But James was so dirty, it took a long time to get him clean. James was earlier soaked and scrubbed, and he also used up so much water that he had to go to the water column quickly before he runs out. Your gentle shunting and getting dirty is making you late for your passengers, said Oliver. Edward is always on time. That's why he's the poster engine. Then James had an idea. If I take the express line instead of the branch line, he thought, I will arrive before Edward and collect my passengers first. That will show everyone that I'm good enough to be on the poster. James popped on to the main line. He really wanted to get in front of Edward. And he switched back onto the branch line and was in front of Edward. It worked! I am first, he said proudly. But it wasn't for long. Up ahead, there was a bend. James applied his brakes and began to slow down. But Edward could not stop in time. Sorry, James, I didn't have time to stop. Don't worry, Edward. It was my fault for pushing in. James had crashed into the poster and was completely destroyed. You're finally in the poster, chuckled Duck. Maybe you are good enough after all. But James didn't feel very good. He felt very silly. To make matters worse, the Fat Controller was on board Duck. James, your racing around has caused confusion and delay. Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. Edward, your cylinders has been damaged. You can't take the people to the seaside today. James felt bad. He knew the people wanted to ride on the poster engine. He felt worse than ever. Please, sir. If I was a back engine, all the people could still ride on Edward. What a wonderful idea, said the Fat Controller. Edward and the coaches were very heavy, but James pushed him slowly to the seaside. His pistons popped and his axles ached, but James pressed on. They stopped along the way to pick up more people. It's Edward! They all cheered. And look at James, he's pushing him. Isn't James a grand engine for being so kind? James was so proud it made his boiler bubble. He felt more useful than he ever felt before. Even though you were not the engine on the poster, said Edward, you are still really useful. And James could not agree more.